What's new and what's groundbreaking for the people at home? What's being done in terms of space medicine that's exciting and new?
Lots of space medicine projects take years and years to design and get results for. So space medicine is hard, and that's why part of the reason why we haven't sent people to Mars yet is that results just churn out quite slowly because of the nature of research. But some of the things that have happened, the twin study, when they sent Scott and Mark Kelly, they sent Scott Kelly to space for a year and Mark Kelly was on the ground, and then they compared what happened between the two twins. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, both twins, after a certain time back on Earth together, kind of just became the same again. So that was interesting. The one thing that did change was something like the length of the telomeres in the nucleus of the cells of Scott. We're thinking maybe that spaceflight in some way changes the structure of the chromosomes or within the cell, and we don't really know what that does to the person.
Wow.
We suspect perhaps it's to do with faster aging. And I mean, it makes sense if you're spending a stressful period of time in a really different environment that's really taxing to the human body. So maybe it's to do with aging, but we don't really know what it means. Most of the other stuff though, he's fine.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So accelerated aging if you actually go to space. So that's an interesting one to note, because people just assume that they can go to space and everything will be like the sci-fi movies they see, which is not necessarily the case. What has happened in terms of space medicine since we last spoke?
For me, I got published. So the last time we spoke, I was only just starting out on my honors degree, and I was just starting to plan out my thesis, and I was looking ahead at all the fun data analysis that I would have to do that would take about 3 months. I finished the thesis at the end of the year. I am happy to say I got a first-class honors for that thesis.
Oh, nice. Well done.
But that was what I was hoping for, and that's what my supervisors were hoping for. And then I spent 2021 reviewing the thesis, turning it into a paper and making it presentable to whatever journal that I sent it to. And after a lot of peer review and editing, it finally got accepted into Frontiers of Physiology.
Yes. So you're published. So that means you're Dr. Tran now. Oh, well, actually, it's November 2021. So by the time this actually goes to air, will be 2022. And the official ceremony will be over, I understand. And you will be Dr. Tran? Oh, look,
I will be.
Screw it. I'm just going to be calling you Dr. Tran from this point. Just because I can. The gluteal muscle study that you did, and there was 60 days of bed rest and all that sort of stuff. What were the main results of that? So what was the final outcomes? What did your data analysis finally uncover and prove?
I'm so glad you asked me that. So just to recap, for those who haven't been watching last time, my research was about bed rest. And it was about the effects of both bed rest and artificial gravity on the body in microgravity. And the way that we did that was with a bed rest analog. So what happens is we had 24 healthy participants, all from Germany and all between 30 and 40, lie in bed for 60 days continuously. Some of those participants stayed in bed the whole time, and some of those participants were centrifuged. Some of them would be centrifuged for 30 minutes straight, and some of them would be centrifuged for 6 5-minute bouts intermittently to make it more comfortable for them to see if it would make a difference. Firstly, we answered some questions. Did bed rest change the gluteal muscle structure or the hip muscles? And yes, it did, which makes sense because if you put somebody in microgravity, they're not going to use their glutes very much. They still use them a little bit when they're rolling around, but they don't use them as much. So that all made sense. The gluteal muscles atrophied and they increase the percentage of fat within the muscle. And that is a sign of aging and deconditioning and loss of function, which you don't want.
No, not at all. No. Wow.
No. The other part was the centrifugation. So does centrifugation mitigate any losses that bed rest caused? And it didn't. It didn't. And that was really interesting for us to research and write about because we had to reflect on what the gluteal muscles actually do. Now, I won't ask you to get up now, but if you did stand up on one leg, you would be putting your gluteal muscles under 1G if you stood quietly.
Yep.
Do you stand quietly all day? I don't.
No.
I either sit or I walk with my glutes, or I run. And when I run, and when you and I run, we put our glutes under 9G, 9 times the amount of force that you would standing. So 1G for 30 minutes a day in a centrifuge is not going to do anything for your glutes. And that was probably the main reason why we think artificial gravity didn't mitigate those losses. The hard thing is, though, is that it does do things for our cardiovascular system and our neurovestibular system.
The vestibular system is a sensory system responsible for providing our brain with information about motion, head position, and spatial orientation.
Could we apply different amounts of G to different systems? I don't know how we're going to do that. It seems pretty tricky. But we would need different amounts of G per system depending on what that system is used to on Earth.
Wow. In terms of evolution and all that sort of stuff, we're perfectly designed to exist on this planet. If we try to leave this planet, it's actually going to present problems. And artificial gravity then becomes a key component of long duration space travel. What will this do in terms of space travel?
I think that we'll need to develop countermeasures. Granted, the shortest possible trip to Mars is 6 months. I guess that's not too long. You could probably deal with microgravity for 6 months if you then went back to Earth. What are the implications for people who have a one-way trip to the moon or to Mars and stay there? Will be under a lot less gravity than they are on Earth. And so we need countermeasures for that to keep the muscles healthy and strong. Although it's interesting, isn't it? Because if you get to the moon and you stay there, you might not need that muscle after all because you're bouncing around. So you're not going to need as much glutes. So maybe humans on Mars will look really different and humans on the moon will look different. We don't know. But I think countermeasures is a good way to start because we may be traveling between different planetary bodies, but what about the people who want to live in orbit? I'm sure there's going to be people who want to be living and traveling long-term in orbit. So they're constantly under microgravity for months and months and months. How are we going to counter that? We might use artificial gravity centrifuges, long arm ones ideally, if we can deal with the mass and the cost of bringing big centrifuges into space, like in 2001, A Space Odyssey, which is my favorite movie, of course.
Yeah, mine too.
By the way. Snap. We would need to do that, but I don't think exercise is going to go away. We need that baseline 1G for the body that we can use just like they do in 2001. But I think they'll need to do some exercise to put those glutes and those other muscles under enough stress so that they get maintained, so that they don't completely get lost. It will never go away. So, bad news. Sorry, you're going to have to do your weights and your running in space. Sorry, Josh.
Wow. No, that's fine. I don't mind doing, but like what I was thinking long term is if people don't do it and they don't actually do what's required, then there might be a conscious choice that they never want to return to Earth.
Possibly. Some of the consequences of not exercising would be things like weakness, immobility, loss of function, and possibly injury or a fracture on return to a gravity body or during a critical maneuver of the spacecraft. We just want to make sure that they're in good condition, our astronauts.
Oh my God. Wow, that's amazing. Did you ever think when you started on this path that be this vital and this key for the future of exploration into the solar system and beyond?
Depends on where you're talking about where I started from, because when I started on the journey of space medicine a few years ago, I had no idea what I was going to do to get there because there's no established path for that, especially in Australia. It's such a niche career that really the only way you get around is by luck and who you know.
Yep.
So I was able to get into the honours project partly because of who I know. Did I think that it would have implications? No, I don't think so, because to me, that's the type of thing that people do when they're experts, when they finish medical school and they've been a doctor for a few years and are connected with the giants like NASA and the European Space Agency and somewhere elsewhere. I didn't know that there would be anything happening here, and I didn't know that I'd be part of that. Granted, there's not much contribution that I'm doing now. I mean, I'm only a small part of the effort that we are all putting together collectively to go to space, but it is a part of it. And I am really, really, really privileged to have been a part of it so far.
You're published, you've got everything going for you. How are you continuing on the journey that we talked about last time?
I started working with the Australian Space Discovery Centre this year, and that's been really, really fun. It's the public-facing arm of the Australian Space Agency. It's like a visitors centre and a museum and a meet space and a theaterette, which is a small theatre, all in one. There's lots of different ways that you can use the space, but usually what happens is visitors come in at a booked time and they'll walk around the exhibit and they'll listen to us talk about space and present about space. I love both the idea of talking to kids and adults alike, but also working with the people there. The people who I work with are just fantastic and are space tragics just like me. So
space tragics. I think you're talking to one. You're talking to one. So what's next for you? I really am curious is what happens next in your world.
I got really into the whole space medicine community in Australia and overseas, and I was getting involved with everything and being really proactive, which I'm really glad I did. After my honours thesis, Dr. Cable told me, be the best doctor that you can be and everything else will follow. And that really spoke to me. And I think that would speak to everybody who wants to be an astronaut or get into the space industry. You have to be good at what you're doing first before you can insert yourself into this really, really forward-thinking arena. Rather than committing myself to lots and lots of space medicine community projects, I now need to start looking at how am I going to be the best doctor? So by the time this episode comes out, I will probably be working as a doctor for the first year, and I'll be in Mount Gambier. And I've put myself in Mount Gambier, a country town, because it will give me more experience as a junior doctor. It would give me more hands-on experience and more exposure to practical skills and different types of people. And Australia's really good at remote and rural medicine. And what else is remote and rural?
Mars! Sorry.
Right answer. But yeah, so and that's what Australia can contribute, because we're strong in telehealth and we're strong in retrieval medicine, a la Royal Flying Doctor Service. And so I think we're going to contribute a lot of expertise when it comes to human exploration. So I'm starting my journey in a remote town where I don't know anybody. I'm looking forward to that. I really am. And that's going to be my life for the next few years as I'm a junior doctor and I climb another ladder.
Honestly, I'm so excited and very, very proud. Sorry, I don't know why, but very, very proud of everything you've done and the fact that, you're going out to Mount Gambier. I can't wait for this time next year just to find out what's happened and how everything's changed. It's just been an absolute pleasure.
It has been an absolute pleasure. I think we've got the technology and the engineering to go to Mars. We really do. We just don't know how to get the humans there. We've taken rovers there, no problem. There's rovers all over Mars, but we don't know what's going to happen to the human body. So we need more of us.
Yes, we do. We do. So yes, if you want to anyone wants to take inspiration from Vienna, please do. Please do. All right. Thank you very much for your time then, Dr. Tran.
Thank you, Josh. It's been a pleasure.
Dr. Vienna Tran is one of the most inspirational people I have ever met. And as I said in the video, I'm really looking forward to interviewing her again in November this year to learn all about what she's been up to in 2022. For those of you who are interested, I've placed links to the published paper with the Frontiers in Psychology. Gluteal muscle atrophy and increased intramuscular lipid concentration are not mitigated by daily artificial gravity following a 60-day head down tilt bed rest. Sorry, they might need a shorter title. If you want to know more about the vestibular system, then please head on over to 2-Minute Neuroscience to see the complete video. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe. It really is the best way of learning about neuroscience in 2-minute snippets. If you're interested in the original video I did with Vienna before she became a doctor, then please check it out here. And I've also placed links in the comments below just in case I pointed to the wrong spot. Thanks very much for watching the Space Down Under. And remember, stay caffeinated. You don't have a cosmic latte with you this time. I've noticed that you just seem to be sitting there.
I don't, but I
you don't. No.
I do have a R2D2 mug.
I want one of them.